Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Mathematics Corner. Now, today's topic is going to be rationalizing denominators. We're going to go through a few key terms. Once we understand these key terms, we're then going to solve this question, where we rationalize the denominator of the expression 2 over 3 plus square root 5. Our first key term is negation. Negation is when you do the opposite of the symbol that you start off with. So if I start off with plus and I negate it, I get a minus. If I start off with a minus, I get the opposite, which is a plus. The second key term is a conjugate. A conjugate of expression is when you do the opposite symbol in the middle. Now we can show that in question 1. We have 2 over here. We negate the middle term, which would be minus. We have left over square root 3. So the conjugate of 2 plus square root 3 is 2 minus square root 3. Noticing how the middle symbol has been changed to its opposite. We can do the same thing now for question 2, where we have 3 minus square root 2. 3 stays there. The opposite of the minus in this case, which is the plus, and square root 2 left over. Now, this method could also be applied with algebra and not just numbers, which I'll show now. A is there, opposite of the plus again is the minus, and left over we have B. Now, an interesting thing that can come from an expression multiplied by its conjugate is that if you have a square root inside that expression, then multiplying it by its conjugate will get rid of that square root. And I'll show that in this working out. So you have 2 multiplied by 2, which is 4. 2 multiplied by minus square root 3, which is minus 2 square root 3. We go underneath now, so plus square root 3 multiplied by 2, which is plus 2 square root 3. And finally, positive square root 3 multiplied by minus square root 3 is minus 3. We're going to simplify this. We have 4 minus 3, which is 1. Now we do the numbers with the square roots, which is minus 2 square root 3, positive square root 3, which will cancel out to 0. So we only have the number 1 over here. Notice how the square roots cancel out. And this is always going to be the case when you have the expression multiplied by its conjugate. Third and final key term is rationalize. Now, rationalize is another way of saying to get rid of the square root. In particular, with this question over here, on question 1, we can get rid of the square root by multiplying it by itself. But in order to do it for this fraction, we have to multiply the numerator by square root 3 too, so that we don't change this fraction. So we'll do that here. We have the denominator multiplied by square root 3, and the numerator multiplied by square root 3, so not to change the original fraction. So we have simplified 2 multiplied by square root 3, which is 2 square root 3. And finally, square root 3 multiplied by square root 3, which gives us 3. Giving us our rationalized answer. Finally, we can actually do it for question 2 now. With one small difference, we can apply our conjugate method for our denominator so that we can get rid of our square root. So we're going to multiply the denominator by this conjugate, which is 3 minus square root 5. Don't forget to multiply the numerator by the same thing so that we don't change the original fraction. We're going to include our brackets in here. and multiply this out. We have 2 multiplied by 3, which is 6. 2 multiplied by minus square root 5, which is minus 2 square root 5. And now we're going to do the same thing for our denominator. We're going to have 3 multiplied by 3, which is 9. 3 multiplied by minus square root 5, which is minus 3 square root 5. Square root 5 multiplied by 3, which is positive 3 square root 5. And finally, square root 5 multiplied by minus square root 5, giving us minus 5. We're now going to just simplify this, giving us, with our numerator being the exact same, and underneath, the numbers are going to simplify to 9 minus 5, which is 4. And our numbers with the square roots, again, you can see they cancel out. And that would be our rationalized answer.